This is KFGO For A Cause, brought to you by Neil Van Dam and the Van Dam Financial Group, who's in studio with us again. Welcome back, Neil.
Good morning.
And in studio with us, Mark Wallace from Faith Forward. Mark, welcome to KFGO Radio.
Thank you for having me, guys. What a treat.
Okay, so tell us all about Faith Forward and who you are to our community.
Yeah, so Faith Forward's a local 501c3 organization that started in 2024, and we just said, what would happen if we equipped leaders to live and lead like Jesus in the workplace? This is actually being recorded on Good Friday, and so we look to Christ as a servant leader and just say, how would we all behave inside of our organizations or form our organizations with values that are like his leadership? And so that's what we do. We do it through events. We have a big annual conference, which is kind of our flagship, where we bring together hundreds of people, and we have our third annual one coming up in October, end of October. And then we have quarterly events called Breakfast and Bibles. And so we just put leaders on stages that are walking the way and they're through their leadership, and they educate and equip our attendees.
You're a rather new organization then, 2024.
Yeah, so we've technically, if you want to say 16 months is what we've done. Yeah,
you're like brand new.
Relatively big at the same point. How many people attended last year?
Yeah, so last year we had 400 people come to our conference, and the year before that was just over 300. And all said and done, we've brought in about 1,000 people in through our events here locally. And we recently have another metro that's expressed interest in hosting one of our smaller events in their community. And so the word movement seems to be accurate and one that we are just fortunate to be a part of. And we just bring together people of all denominations. So we tend to host them in churches, but it's not that particular denomination.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Like, it says faith.
Right.
So is it any faith?
It's Christian faith, and so specifically Christian faith. But yeah, what you find is that, I don't know either of your guys' faith, but a lot of people are coming to these events and they look and be like, wow, Neil's here. And we love that unity and that connection piece, but also just that we're all here just to get equipped and just say, like, how can we live out our faith through our work and glorify God through our businesses, which we believe are just gifts from God that we're here to steward.
See, what I just absolutely love about it is we're getting more and more in a society of, can you talk about this? Like, we just sent out our quarterly newsletter to our clients, and one of the people on my team who was writing it said, am I allowed to say Happy Easter? And I'm like, yeah, you can always say Happy Easter and Merry Christmas, at least with my office. And yes, I understand that some people can get offended by that, and that's perfectly fine. There's plenty of other financial advisors for people that don't want to see Happy Easter, and it's not always about being politically correct, and sometimes just saying, I do have faith and I want to be involved in that, and other business leaders that I like to do business with, those types of people. There is a huge community of business owners that are really interested in leading this type of life and being in that type of society. And I'm not a great Christian by any means. I'm not a great business owner by any means either. And I think you'll find in this community that a lot of people are in those same shoes, that getting a group together like this, to me, is extremely important. You just also hosted in a time that I'm always gone. So that October week, I have a conference that's always the same every year. So it's frustrating for me. So if you want to change that, I'd love it.
Well, the very first one we did...
Neil brought you in just to advocate for a date change.
Well, the very first one we ever did was deer opener weekend. And we learned, when you look, you're like, that was a poor choice.
Yeah, you're in North Dakota. And now we're finding your days right.
And now we're finding out we're on UND's, their hockey weekend, when everybody flocks to wherever they go, So I'm just like,
fine. It's a Tuesday morning now.
We can't win on the date. But to what you're talking about, Neil, our tagline is lead with faith, not fear. And I think a lot of organizations or business owners, my dad and father-in-law were both CEOs. And so I totally get that seat of sitting there and just kind of being like, could I isolate potentially half of the people by putting that forward? And I think you also think, do I run a legal risk to doing that? And so what we do is, like, our very first conference, Shields, Steve M. Shields stood up there and he just talked about their organization. And let me tell you, Shields is probably one that, when you reflect back, they've always had ads running like today, and it's going to say Happy Easter, but it's not going to have an Easter bunny on it. And they're going to be so bold to put 3 crosses up there. And so Steve M. Shields just said, this is how we do it. And it takes a leader like that to be like, you know what? I'm running an organization that maybe has 10, 12, 15 people. If Shields can do this, maybe I can too. And they just have that encouragement. And so that's the type of environment that we have. We are not HR experts, but we have enough organizations and proof to be like, hey, there's a lot of people that are leading with these values, being unapologetically Christian through their work, having prayer, leaving Bible studies, like all these things that you can do. And sometimes it might just be showing up.
Well, and just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you're anti everything else. I mean, we have plenty of clients with different backgrounds. So some of the even religious leaders in different religions are some of my really good friends in this community. It's not saying that, no, we won't work with you and you need to fit this mold to work with us, but at the same time, these are my values, and this is how I want my team's values to be as well. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I think what I see from my vantage point is that there is a little bit, maybe it's a movement, maybe it's a restructuring of how we're looking at life. Like younger generations are not identifying with their faith in the same way generations before us did. And so everyone's looking at it a little bit differently. And what's interesting is like, of course, millennials would make it so that we like restructure how we show up, right? I think millennials, and it's not probably just millennials, but I would think that most of your population at Faith Forward would be that Gen X or millennial base of people who we started our faith groups before school. You know what I mean? Maybe we weren't in church every Sunday, but we started groups at school that we would meet before school happened, or we would meet at night at a coffee shop, right? And that generation has grown up and now they're running businesses and now they're starting Faith Forward, right? I mean, the dynamics of this is kind of cool how it's not that there's less faith, it's that we're restructuring it to work in different ways like we did when we were 16 years old.
There's a lot there, Amy. I think when I look at our events, I wish I could paint a picture of who the attendee is.
Sure.
But to be honest, it's all generations.
Sure, yeah.
And there's a lot of different people. I think when you look at like the movement right now in young people, like you're talking about, I don't know if we so far away, like when you think about faith compared to religion, I think there's a big divide there of like what I'm supposed to do and more just saying like, you know what, I'm a child of God and I just happen to I put my belief in this. And because that, I've been transformed. You've been given a new life, and then how do you behave? And so through that, it's just like, how can I get equipped and in a relationship, whether it's through the workplace, in the public square, in a school, or in all this setting, that's where I'm seeing people just kind of go like, and lacking maybe just even purpose in their work. And just saying like, you know what? Work is, Scripture says, for God, but it also can be done with God. And I really just want this to be bigger than myself. And those are like the kind of the little nuggets that you're finding in these people of just saying, like, I just want to live a God-honoring life for the Lord through my work. And I'm going to put so much time into my work.
I mean, it makes sense because for a few years there, I feel like we were reading all these headlines about how like, oh, are people leaving the church? Are they doing this? And all my friends who are in that world or pastors are like, no, we're seeing more faith than ever. It just maybe doesn't look exactly like it did 10 years ago. And it actually is that they're bringing it into sort of all aspects, just like you're saying. It's just like we're reinventing how we're talking about things and how we're doing things. And it's actually that like these people are living it out loud in their daily lives rather than waiting to do it one day a week. Like they want to do it 7 days a week, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. And you have that opportunity too. And I think people might be sitting here thinking about it, maybe even like you, Neil, just saying like, well, what would even be the first step to do something like that? And that's where there is no one best step. There's a million ways you can do it. But just saying like, you know, do I feel that I should lead like that? And how should I talk to an employee or this doesn't mean that it's meek or weak and that we don't, God says that we should work at it, working for the Lord with everything we have. And it's like, excellence is a good thing to pursue. Profits are necessary, right? Scripture tells us that, but it's like, how do I run this company and steward it well with excellence? And how can I take it from somebody else that's doing it and learn from them? That's what we're doing at Faith Forward. And people just seem to be very interested in learning about that.
Welcome back to KFGO For A Cause, brought to you by Neil Van Dam and the Van Dam Financial Group. Mark Wallace is with us from Faith Forward. Mark, how do people get involved? I know you said you have your October. Let's talk a little bit about more the breakfast and Bibles, or like the regular basis things where people can meet you where you're at and be involved.
Yeah, so every 3 months we're holding an event here locally. Best place to stay on touch is if you just go into our socials, so LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and you can follow along. But immediately before us is May 8th, is Breakfast and Bibles. This will be our 6th Breakfast and Bibles that we have under our belt.
You're going to lose count soon.
I know. It's like, what do numbers even matter? But this particular one is going to be Sandy Piatz, the president and CEO of United Way of Casclay. Yeah. So she recently stepped into that role, but she used to be the Microsoft site leader, but just a very faithful woman. And so we kind of put her on a stage, and what you can expect if you were to come, faithforwardusa.org is where you can secure your ticket. Very heavy early demand for that, so we're very excited about that. People really want to come to her. But what you can expect is it's 90 minutes long. Sandy's going to take the stage for the most of it. She's going to prepare a speech based upon scripture that pertains to her and her leadership. And then there'll be a room for Q&A to give access to that.
Yeah.
Incredible amount of women are interested in that, in this women leadership. Because if you think of United Way, they have this 35 under 35 program, and so many people are
I know I'm a graduate a long time ago. I'm old now, but
there you go.
Yeah.
And so, but that's the format. One part we do in our events that we did, especially in our big conferences, we have a portion that's worship, which a lot of people, when you combine a lot of people of faith, like whether you listen to contemporary Christian music, you might go to church and you're used to old hymns out of a hymnal book. And you're like, man, when I listen to like CDs, don't come in here. So we found a lot of people have really enjoyed that part of being like, wow, like I'm not going to change churches here, but like this is a whole different environment. And then in a community of, don't call it a networking group, but it's a community event, just a gathering of a lot of people. And so we do a deep dive on some theme scripture, and then we do tabletop exercise as well to help you really sink into what that particular leader, Sandy in this example, is looking at and going like, wow, I've never reflected upon that verse that speaks so deeply to her. What does this maybe mean for me in my leadership?
So Faith Forward USA. So are there more Faith Forwards across the country?
No, so this is very local. This is This is Fargo based.
But you're starting it, and hopefully people are going to take the template.
Well, I don't know if you've done it, Neil, securing a domain name, and unfortunately faithforward.org was taken, and so the next thing you have to go. But we do. We have big bold visions. We do see this. We have not been pursuing cities. We've always said, James chapter 4 says, do not go to this city or that city and make money. What are you? Like, you don't know what'll happen tomorrow. If it's God's will, it'll happen. And so we just sit back and go like, we really think that this will grow into like a TEDx movement where like independent communities will grow, but we will wait for them to come to us. They're going to come to Fargo and experience it probably through our conference. And we're just having that first one now reach out to us. And so can it be across USA? We're positioned pretty close to Canada. Maybe it'll be Winnipeg, and maybe we will not like that domain name that we did choose. But yeah, we just took it as like we can fit inside that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're really building a template. I imagine like our listening audience is more than the metro area of Fargo. I wonder if someone's listening and they want a template for how to do this where they're at, can they reach out to you?
They absolutely can reach out. So there's contact forms on that site, faithforwardusa.org. But also what we do is we record these messages that these people deliver and we post them out to our YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And so when the speakers allow us to do that, we do that because we want the equipping to go on. So it's like if a listener's sitting out there in Harvey, North Dakota, I don't think that they might have a Breakfast and Bibles in Harvey. That's pretty small. But I also want them to get to a metro that might be close enough in time that they'd be like, you know what, that's not a buzz into a Minot, or maybe I'll be willing to go down to a Bismarck or come to Fargo.
Harvey? That's such a good pull.
Yeah.
Are you from
I'm not
Harvey?
I have a brother-in-law that's in Harvey, though.
Okay, yeah. I was like, that is such a good pull. That's such a good North Dakota pull. Are you from here?
I'm a Class B North Dakota guy, yeah.
You
so
are?
you name...
Okay.
So shout out to the Harvey Hornets. We even know the mascot, but yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I grew up by Grand Forks.
Oh, okay. Class B, though?
Class B. Northwood is actually the town that I grew up from. Yeah,
that's
from
great.
Park River, so.
Park River Aggie. There you go.
Look at that. Making connections. I love. There's not a lot of degrees of separation in North Dakota, so we'll probably be related by the time we leave.
And I'm already searching the domain name Faith Forward World Wide.
Yeah.
Total miss there.
They say you should keep it to 26 characters. So that wide. My wife's from Cavalier, though. So it's really funny that
Oh,
I'm right in the middle of you two.
yeah. Are you from here, Amy?
I am. Yep, I am. I was born in a little town called Kintyre, North Dakota. But I've bopped around to a lot of little small towns. End up graduated in high school from Bismarck. But if you meet someone from Hunter, they might tell you I'm from Hunter. If you meet someone from like Braddock, they might tell you I'm from Braddock. If you meet someone from Horace, they might tell you I'm from there. You know, it's one of those things.
They're all going to claim you, Amy. That's the best part.
Well, you know, it's like, well, yeah, I am from there. You know, I did live there for a little bit.
Kind of a celebrity, no big deal.
No, but you know how when you live in a lot of small towns, it's like, oh, you know, Neil's from here. Sure, yeah, I'm from there, and I'm from over there too, and a little bit of over there. But I mean, that is the nice thing. You know, about a community like this that you've started, Faith Forward, is that, you know, you are accessible. Like North Dakota is a really accessible place, and it's easy to get somewhere. We're used to a little bit of a drive. So you're talking about these small towns. You are just a hop and a skip away from a lot of people that can come in and experience what you're bringing to Fargo.
And I'm glad you pointed that out, because as local as we are, we do have local leaders that stand up on stage. We have about 20 at the conference that come. And what we found in that very first one, we brought in Dr. Henry Cloud from California. He goes into Fortune 500 boardrooms, helps dissect some pretty nasty challenges that we really can't even relate to. But also people are like, you know, Henry Cloud is good, but so is Steve Scheel. And so this particular conference coming up, I'm going to let you know a little teaser because this will air afterwards. But April 7th, we're going to be announcing all of our speakers' names. And so when we release those names, we have a CEO of a guy that took over his dad's company, 3 employees, him, his dad, and his brother, and he's scaled it to over 800 employees. And he's done it just by loving on his customers and doing it well. And he's got our theme verse tattooed on his arms, 1 Corinthians 9:19. Because I'm free from all, I can be a slave to all in order to win a few for Christ. And that is the kind of message that we're just sitting here going like, he's coming in from Arkansas to do that. We got Tara Lee Cobble of the Bible Recap right here locally. So many people are getting into the Word and through her platform of just daily reading of the Bible. And that's where transformation happens. You can put values on the wall and just say like, today I want to be grateful. And you might do a gratitude walk and do a few thank you notes or whatever else, but true change doesn't happen. It only happens when you get in a relationship with the Lord and you actually get transformed to a new life. And so she's going to come. She has like one of the top podcasts in the world because of her platform, and she's coming to Fargo. And so there will be a smattering of locals, and North Dakotans will come, but we're seeing this grow. Last year we brought in from about a 200-mile radius to the conference. And the good thing about being local to Fargo is that you don't need to get a hotel room like you do on typical conferences. Neil, I'm sure you travel for a lot of conferences, and you look and like, you got an airline ticket, you got a conference ticket, you got all this stuff. No, it's all right here in Fargo. So we're fortunate for that Fargo is the home base, but we're seeing so many more people come in from distance to attend this event. And that'll be October 29th and 30th.
Okay, so you can write it on your calendar now. October 29th and 30th. faithforwardusa.com is where you can find them.
.org.
.org, sorry. I should know that because you're 501c3. .org. faithforwardusa.org. And then May 8th, if Sandy Piatz, and if you want to get in on that and maybe have your first Faith Forward experience, that would be a good one to get in on.
That'd be a great one. That'll be at Dakota Medical Foundation, so 8 to 9:30 in the morning.
Yeah, what a great new facility. I feel like every time we have these organizations on, like, oh, yep, we're going to have this event at DMF. And like, what a beautiful new facility that they are making accessible to so many different organizations.
And open-handed in it.
Yeah.
It's just it's so great. And like, that was the thing. We had our last one and Howard Dahl spoke at it. And we were at a church. And first thing when I got back to my desk, here was an invite saying like, please host us at our facility next time. And so we've never moved outside of a church. We've kind of been on a church tour here locally of people hosting us. And I'm like, hey, here's one to go outside of a church. And it's a beautiful facility. So grateful for DMF and their leadership in this community. You think of like Giving Hearts Day, and you guys are leading through this platform. I mean, bringing organizations in and lifting them up, just grateful for that, because it's just, there's so many.
That's all Neil. So
congratulations
to him.
So many great organizations and causes.
There really are. We're on year 2 of this, and we have had like a few double, but we still have a list, a great big list of organizations we haven't got to yet, which is just crazy when you think about that.
You won't get to them all.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, but it's also the thing, like, it's the reality.
Because once we'll get to them, then there's a Faith Forward that pops up. You know what I mean?
It's so fun to see how well all these nonprofits are working together, too.
Yeah.
I had no idea that existed before we started the show.
Mm-hmm. It is very cool. Mark Wallace, thank you so much. Appreciate your time here on KFGO For A Cause.
Thank you, guys. This has been a treat, and just so grateful to be on the program and to inform the listeners of Faith Forward.
And Neil Van Dam, thank you. Appreciate it. See you next week.
You.